Okay, welcome. How are you doing, Dr. Mortier? I
I'm
appreciate you
doing
coming
wonderful, thank
on,
you.
and I welcome you to the Why Not Incubator community chat. And the purpose of this call and chat is really find out all of the great things you're doing, what K-12 is doing now in its remote space, as it's always been really in a remote space, but to ask you really how are you made any adjustments, and also how you're bringing in community in this new work. So why don't we start off by you sharing, really giving a full, I know you, but give a full introduction of yourself and your role at K-12.
Sure. My name is Rebecca Mortier, and I am the principal for the Destinations Career Academy. So the Destinations Career Academy virtual academies and California Virtual Academies, we are all under that K-12 umbrella. So a lot of you are familiar with those K-12 commercials. We are California's portion of that. So I am a high school principal in particular for the Destinations Career Academy and under California Virtual Academy, and we are a K-12 powered school.
Wonderful. And you know, people would think as a principal, like how do you principal in a school like that that's different than traditional schools?
I think it has a lot of similarities, but of course there are some differences for sure. I love to do classroom observations. I show up in teachers' virtual classrooms on a daily basis to do those things. I support teachers. Very much the same. A lot of the students are logged in, working, following a certain compliancy process to
Right.
make sure they just don't fall off the grid without somebody noticing. So a lot of my job has to do with working with myself, with the other leads, and with the staff members at our school to just ensure that our students are logged in and working, that our families are engaged, that they're attending sessions regularly, and that they're progressing through the curriculum and the standards as well.
You know, I was so excited to talk to you because I feel like once COVID hit and many schools were really forced into a remote space, you guys were already there. So how did you, what adjustments have you had to make, and how difficult or easy was that for you?
So I think the beauty of it is we've been doing this for 18 years, but we are constantly making adjustments and changes. And so when this is just kind of another year for us, we are very used to, our teachers are very used to the concept of change and just changing for the world, changing for our surroundings, changing as technology changes. So change is nothing that is new to us. So 18 years of making changes happen. And this year we just had to make a few extras, but this is what we love to do. We thrive in the virtual setting. Our teachers thrive in the virtual setting. And so it was kind of just par for the course, sort of like a regular year for us, although we did get a big surge in enrollment, but we always have continued to seek change and find what works best for students. And this year is no exception in that.
You know, I was going to save this question for last, but I think I'll ask it now. What about for schools? What kind of tips could you give to traditional schools who are really grappling around this? You know, they haven't been in the virtual space before. They're doing the best that they can. But if you could give like maybe just a few as we're going into the new year, kind of finishing out the next semester, do you have any tips for our teachers as well as principals?
Yeah, I'm surrounded by a family of teachers and a lot of friends that teach in the brick and mortar setting too. So I've gotten this question on a personal level from a lot of them too. And first and foremost, and maybe it even seems really obvious, but maybe not, is just focusing on the humans first, not the students. Just really focusing on the fact that these kids are just people in the world going through what everybody else is going through. And in this year in particular, going through even more than we ever have gone through in it before. So really focusing on the fact that these are individuals, these are children that have unique needs. And until you really get to know the kids and get to know the families, these kids aren't even going to have a chance in any environment. And kind of along those lines, I would say to other principals at brick and mortars that are trying this for the first time, ensure that every kid in your school has an advocate, because you don't know that they have one at home. So you need to provide that for them and provide that person that can be there consistently for them, that somebody that they know is watching, that cares, and that will ensure whether they're at home learning in their bedroom or they're in a classroom learning, we want to see you succeed. show appreciation for your teachers. Nobody knows what they're doing here. And so this is all happening for the first time. And we
Or what
need
they're
to,
going
as
through.
administrators,
Right.
absolutely. And as administrators, we need to say to our teachers, it's okay. We're doing this together and we're doing this for the first time. My brother-in-law always used to say, you don't have to ask for permission to do what's right for kids.
Oh,
And
that's
I
awesome.
love that. And I think in this day and age, so powerful, right? In this day and age and in the situation that we're in now, if you're a
Right.
teacher in a virtual world and you're thinking, I want to try something, but it's a little different, I'm not sure that this will work, I say, take the Dr. Sanderlin perspective and ask why not first, right?
Uh-huh.
Because that's the most important thing.
Whoa.
If you can look at that and say, will it
Yeah.
work? Why not? I always try to say that to
Mhm.
my teachers. I said,
Do
if
you?
you bring me a student-centered decision, I want to say, let's find a way to make it happen. Why not? Maybe it'll work. So more now than ever, when these teachers, everything is new to them, everything is new to their kids. Let's try some new stuff. Let's see if it works. Let's give it a chance.
You know, I love your attitude because it's about relationships. You mentioned really important, especially right now. Everything's went from, well, for most brick and mortars have went now from 3D to 2D, and now it's probably, like you said, more important to reach out and empower, because you know we've always talked about engaging students, but now I think we're shifting to empowerment, right?
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it.
And I love that what you say. Your brother-in-law said you don't need permission.
Don't need permission to do what's right for kids. You know, that as
Absolutely.
teachers, that students' lives.
You know, and you kind of,
You've got an idea, it might work.
well, you know, that's kind of connected to self-care, right? Teacher self-care. How are you guys supporting that?
You know, that's something that we've always made a priority to support, because we are in the virtual world. We don't get to see each other very often. When it's not in COVID times, part of the way that we did that was by actually physically getting together. And sometimes this meant bringing teachers from different parts of the state together so that you can have that face-to-face connection. But a lot of the year we couldn't do that. And that's very similar to what the brick and mortars are facing right now. And so again, I think number one, it comes back to those personal relationships. The way that our school is designed is really a series of personal relationships and really like a series of advocates. So our teachers teach content. They all teach a subject area. They do it really well. They've been doing it for a long time. But in addition to that, each of our teachers is a homeroom mentor, an advisor for a small group of students. Those students are in essence like their family. Those are the kids they really get to know and the parents that they really get to know as well. So they do weekly academic support check-ins. They might be reaching out to a student and saying, I noticed you're struggling a little bit in your math class. I'm not your math teacher, but I know the system well, and I know how you can go in and check what assignments need to be done, and I know where you can go to get the help you need. So our system, like it really starts there. You have these homeroom teachers and a small group of homeroom students, and then moving up the chain, you have a small group of teachers and what we call a lead teacher. And that teacher provides a layer of support for them as well. And then kind of encompassing and enveloping that all, we have our support team, and we have an unbelievable support team that's really just designed for equity to make sure that all the students are receiving everything that they need. We have our Compass team, and our Compass team is our social emotional support team that provides an extra layer for our students. We have students reach out that say, I'm feeling a little down, or I don't know where I'm going to get food tomorrow. We can refer them to a member of our support team, our Compass team. They can reach out, they can provide resources in the community. So we really have a network of people set up designed to just do that, to create that community in the virtual setting, which is a challenge for sure.
Well, you just totally, that was a beautiful segue for our last question, because I wanted to know how you are, and you've kind of really answered a lot of it, but maybe you can take it a little deeper, how you are developing community. I love this whole network approach. I mean, I hope many of our listeners today are learning that, how you really kind of set that up with the network, with the homeroom teacher, the SEL component, working together, and they really are little people, right? They're not just kids. They're little people with feelings and thoughts and ideas, and as well as emotions. How are you now in this new era where equity is really the biggest conversation of them all? how are you all bringing that into the curriculum, having, or even elevating student voice around that conversation?
Yeah, I think student voice is ultimately where you want to get to, right? That's the be all end all end point. And I think for the equity in general, that starts as simple as we send our kids everything they need, from their computer to their English books to their little droppers for chemistry experiments. You know,
Wow.
everything is mailed to them. We even send hotspots and things like that for kids that need that.
Wow,
Whatever the
really?
kids need for their personal situation, we have students. I mean, last year I delivered a computer to a student living in his car. We have students living in every type of situation. So we'll do everything we can to get those physical components to them. Absolutely. Like that's where it starts. But then even beyond the physical supplies, the real question is, you know, like you were saying, how do you reach and teach kids that are, first of all, they're teenagers.
Right.
Second of all, they're at home where the desire to play video games all day is a real threat to what we're trying to do with them here.
Yes,
So,
I know. I have a 14-year-old. I know.
so like to tell our newest teachers when they start, listen to what you're signing up for and just make sure this is what you're on board for. We are going to have an uphill battle.
Yeah.
These students are at home. These students are teenagers. These students have other desires beyond school. And this year, how much other stuff is going on, just so very much.
Sure.
And so that's where I think you provide them all of those physical things that they need to really provide equitable access. And then you provide them those advocates, the homeroom teacher, the lead teacher to support that person, the principals to support the lead teachers, to ensure that everybody knows. I don't want to say knows that somebody is watching, but in a way that's important to know somebody's watching. A lot of the studies that we've done ourselves have asked our students, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you working and logging in? And the number one answer is always, my mom is watching or somebody at the school is watching.
Wow.
So, go moms.
Go mom. Yes, that's right. And for those dads out there who are doing that,
That's
go
right.
dad.
Absolutely. So they need to know somebody cares and somebody's watching.
Yes.
And in a virtual environment, that's not easy to do.
Right.
We have tiers of compliance. Our lead teachers are watching multiple times throughout the week reports on not only did the student log in, but how much time did they spend in each of their classes, how many assignments did they submit, how many points did they earn. We have these wonderful reports that come to our principals and leads, and they're filtered down to our teachers. We have WIG conferences all throughout the week. Every week our teachers are meeting with their leads in data conferencing to say, what are you noticing? Which kids are struggling? How are you going to target those specific kids? What are you doing that's working that I might not be trying? So they share a lot of good advice in those conferences on how, again, it all comes back to
So you're
how we
building
can
a community.
reach the kids.
You're building also a community amongst your teachers.
Absolutely.
Wow. So advocacy, that's a really big word, and we don't hear much of that. And I think that we should hear more of that, about that, and bring that in, because as you said, knowing someone's watching, is probably good for all of us to bring accountability. But particularly in this era where there's just so much competition all around. And as you said, they're teenagers, and we're going to have to, but they're still little people, and they're learning and growing. I'm just so excited because I am very, very enamored by you all and the work you're doing. Can you just give us a number about how many, like you said, you had a surge in attendance, or a surge in actually people applying, to how much more parents came to you all this year?
Well, I mean, we were able to accept a few thousand more. So right now at the high school, right now we're sitting at about 6,000 total overall, which
Whoa.
is about 1,000 more than we've had in years past. But honestly, it would be much, much higher than that. We did have to actually close enrollment for the first time in 18 years, which was not our first choice. We did not want to do that at all. But our number one priority is ensuring that we have the right resources for the kids. So we wanted to make sure that we could hire the teachers and then put them through a good quality training program in order to sustain that. So we're excited to open enrollment again, hopefully soon here. But we did have to close enrollment with probably about an additional 1,000 over what we are normally at.
I think that speaks a lot to your core values and your mission around network, around community, around advocacy, around care. It speaks so much to those things that you're doing, and we all can learn so much from you. I see you all as really a forerunner in this work. It's no longer just the commercial of K-12. It's a reality, and everyone came running. So, I really appreciate you sharing, giving us kind of a peek inside of K-12. So many have been wondering about it, and they're looking forward to seeing this video. And I hope you would chat with us again so we can maybe go a little bit deeper into your curriculum and just other things you're doing that we can certainly learn from and grow from.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I appreciated you even having me here today, and I'm more than happy to come back at another time.
Thank you so much again. Thank you. And thank you everybody for watching the Why Not Incubator as we continue to highlight students and schools and teachers and educators who are doing wonderful things, even in the name of uncertainty. We're certain about one thing. We're certain that we are going to educate no matter what. Why not?